Since today is Mother's Day, I want to post a video on narcissistic mothers. Now, if you didn't have a narcissistic mother growing up, then you're not going to understand this video. However, if you were raised with a narcissistic mother, then you know you grew up in a special kind of hell. As children, we are biologically conditioned to have unconditional love for our mothers. And when they mistreat or abuse us, we never think, it's okay, mom's disordered. No, we think that we are unworthy of love, that we don't deserve it, or that we're just unlovable. We grow up believing that we're not enough and that we're the problem. And why do we believe that we're the problem? Because the narcissistic parent is never going to say, it's me, I'm the problem. So you have to be the one that takes the blame. And most of the time, these parents will even convince you that you're the problem. If you were raised by a narcissistic mother, you grew up never feeling noticed or seen by her. If you had a narcissistic mother, you were put into roles that you never asked to be in, such as the scapegoat or golden child or the forgotten child. You were responsible for your mother's happiness, and you were the cause of her depression, her anxiety, and her mental illness. Since you had to carry the weight of their emotions, you then grew up to become a people-pleasing adult. Your entire life, you have been guilted, manipulated, and shamed. Narcissistic mothers treat you as though you are nothing more than an extension of them, and your job is to make the parent or the family look good. Narcissistic mothers will protect your abuser over you, and they do this in a way where they make it look like the abuse was your fault. I'm going to give you some examples of what this looks like. In the very beginning, when I spoke up to my mother about the first time my father abused me, she convinced me that it was an accident. She gaslit me. The second time I talked to her about the abuse, I explained that my father had called me from the bathroom into the living room as I was going to my bedroom after a shower. I had nothing on but a towel. And he kept calling me to come in there. I said, I don't have any clothes on. Give me just a minute. And he's like, get in here now. When my mom got home and I told her what he had done, she said I had no business wearing a towel in front of him. This victim blaming. When DCS called my parents to their office, my mother pulls me aside at the DCS office and tells me she wants me to tell the truth. But if I do that, then the consequences will be I have to get on the stand and testify against my father. I was a young girl at this time, and that terrified me. I was scared of my father. She placed fear in me so she could protect him. Years later, I spoke up about the abuse again, and she told me it wasn't like he raped me every day, that I was being a victim and feeling sorry for myself. That was minimizing my trauma. And then as an adult, when I asked why she didn't get me out of the abuse, she responded with, I told you that we could leave, but I didn't know what we were going to do or where we would go, that we didn't have any money, and you begged me to stay. So that huge decision was put on a 14-year-old girl, and she had to take no ownership or responsibility for any of it. Once I went low contact, the one boundary I had set was you aren't to talk about my father around me, and you aren't to have me around him or him around me. I had a mental breakdown. I get out of the mental hospital. The first thing she does is tell me she has invited him on our family vacation, which would be putting us under the same roof together for 4 nights. These are not mistakes. These are not stupid little accidents. This is very much intentional. And so now any opportunity that she gets to be around me, she always brings up my father in some way, glorifying him or something. Now, these are just examples of how a narcissistic parent will protect your abuser, but they do things like this to you on a daily basis that are setting you up for failure. They don't want you to succeed. Another example, I had a car that I wanted. I wanted this car for years and finally had the money to get one. Ends up being $1,000 short, and I get income tax in a week. So talk to the person that was selling the car, explain, I would have my income tax, that I really wanted the car. They agreed to hold it. My mother overhears this entire conversation, goes next door, has my brother look at the car for her, decides she wants to buy it all of a sudden, and she gets the car. And she comes back to the house with the car keys in her hand, and it was like, I got your car, and I got it for $1,000 less than you were going to. These parents do things to purposely hurt you and poke at you and to get at you. But I will tell you, because I'm blessed and I'm highly favored and loved by my Creator, that car she stole from me never ran right. That $1,000 that she saved that day, she ended up paying way more than that down the road. If you grew up with a narcissistic mother, she held it over your head, that she put a roof over your head, and that she put food on your plate. If I were to have a child and drop it off at a police station or a hospital, the people that take this child in, the workers, are going to make sure this baby is fed and have a roof over its head. They are doing the bare minimum, what law requires them to do. Keep a roof over your head and feed you. That is something that should not be held over your head. It is a requirement when you have a child. You don't get praised for that. Mother's Day can be really stressful for the children of narcissistic mothers because you always had to overcompensate as a child to receive the parents' love. You now end up doing this on any gift-giving holiday. You overcompensate and do these grandiose gestures. That way you feel like, I got it right, and you made mom happy. Your parent may even compare gifts. Well, look what your brother got me, or look what your sister got me. Wasn't that so thoughtful? Causing jealousy. If you grew up with a narcissistic stepmother and the stepmother had children of her own, you did not stand a chance with this parent. Her children got more, her children got better, and you definitely noticed a difference in the way that you were treated. If you have a narcissistic mother, on Mother's Day, you have to post things on social media to make sure that they get glorified and noticed and get the supply that they so desperately need. If you've already went no contact, you may see family members or siblings on Facebook posting about how wonderful the narcissistic mother is and glorifying her, even though they know what she did to abuse you. When it comes to parents, society, culture, and religion have taught us that we are to abandon ourselves and love our parent unconditionally. And not only are we supposed to love them unconditionally, that we are to exhaust ourselves and neglect our mental health to put effort into a relationship with them no matter what they have done. In no other form of abuse do we ever tell the victim that they are responsible for keeping a relationship going. If you choose to go no contact or to not call mom on Mother's Day, you will notice around this time more pressure from your other relatives. They may call and say things to you like, you should really call mom, she's not doing too good. Or they could say, you should really go see mom this year. This could be her last year with us. They will guilt you into trying to maintain this relationship. And it doesn't matter what mom did to you, your family may still justify the abuse. This can also be really heartbreaking as well because they don't understand the pain that you endured and what you had to go through to push you to the point of walking away from the person who means the most to you. No one ever walks away from a mother for no reason. You have to really go through some shit to get to that point because children have this undying loyalty to their mothers. So on a day when there's going to be countless posts on how wonderful and selfless all mothers are and how grateful you should be, how can you cope? The first thing you're going to do is mourn this parent if you've went no contact. And not only do you have to mourn the actual parent that you lost, you have to mourn the idea of the parent you wish that you had. You have to have this realization, this radical acceptance of my parent is never going to be this way. They are disordered and this is what it is. This is not easy to do. This is heartbreaking. But you have to mourn both parents, the one you actually had and the one you created in your head that you wished you had, that you were deprived of. The next thing, don't allow anyone to guilt you today, and don't guilt yourself. You don't have to keep anyone in your life. I don't care who they are, how closely related they are. If they hurt you or abuse you, you're allowed to walk away. And just because some people are not going to understand that doesn't mean that you have to cave and do what they want or what they expect from you. It is okay to choose you first. Another thing that you can do is acknowledge yourself today. You went through hell and survived it, and you came out of that. Acknowledge that and do something today that makes you happy. If you have to be around your narcissistic mother today, then I suggest going gray rock. You're going to keep all conversations superficial so she can't use any of it to hurt you later on. Also, you want to keep all conversation very short and limited. You don't want to give her anything to use against you. And the last thing you can do is stay off Facebook today. Social media is going to be bombarded about posts today about how wonderful mothers are. And I wish I still had my mom, so you should be grateful for yours, because people don't understand. It's like they can't wrap their head around it that some parents are abusive. So if you're on social media today, a lot of these posts can be triggering for you because people don't understand it. If you were raised by a narcissistic parent, today could be extremely hard for you. You were cheated out of a mother. You were cheated out of nurturing and love that you desperately needed as a child. You probably have a list of mental illnesses now due to this. But if you were able to come out of it and do something different with your children and break those generational curses, do something different in your own life, and still have the ability to open your heart and to love others after the hell you survived, you are an extraordinary human being, and you deserve to be celebrated today. Make your own Mother's Day tradition about you. Take time for you, even if you don't have kids. You're a survivor and you deserve it. You do not deserve, however, to sit in a bed or in a corner all day depressed over the circumstances. So to all my narcissistic mother survivors, go out and do something for you today and have a good day. You deserve it.